The Vanished Heiress, the $5 million mystery that shocked London. Rain lashed against the tall glass windows of the Waverley Hotel, streaking the view of London's skyline in watery smears. Inside Suite 1104, Eleanor Ashford sat alone at a mahogany desk, the dim light from the chandelier casting a golden halo over her silver hair. She was dressed immaculately as always, a navy silk dress, pearl necklace, and the kind of calm elegance that had made her one of London's most admired philanthropists. In less than 12 hours she was set to sign over her vast fortune, $5 million in inherited property, art and investments, to a charity she had founded decades earlier. At precisely 8:46 p.m., the suite's landline rang. The receptionist downstairs noted the call lasted just under 2 minutes. No one ever found out who was on the other end. By morning, Eleanor Ashford was gone. Detective Inspector James Harlan stood in the doorway of the suite the following day, the smell of expensive perfume lingering in the air, clashing with the faint metallic scent of rain-soaked carpet. There were no signs of forced entry. Her handbag sat neatly on the armchair, her phone charging on the nightstand. The bed was untouched, as if she'd never gone to sleep. The only thing missing was her, and the leather folder containing the final signed transfer documents for the fortune. Hotel security footage showed Eleanor walking into her suite at 8:42 p.m. that night. The camera at the end of the hallway recorded no one entering or leaving afterward. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Harlan's first interview was with Richard Cole, a sharply dressed man in his early 50s, claiming to be Eleanor's attorney and oldest friend. His voice was smooth, but his eyes darted toward the window as he spoke. "I was the last one to see her. We had tea that afternoon. She seemed anxious. I told her to rest before the big day. That's all." He paused. "She never mentioned going anywhere." The problem was Richard Cole's fingerprints were the only ones found on the handle of the suite's inner balcony door, a door that opened to a sheer drop 12 stories down. When Harlan pressed him, Richard smirked. "If you think I pushed Eleanor, detective, you're chasing the wrong shadow. She was paranoid lately. Said someone was watching her." Harlan moved on to the hotel staff. The housekeeper, a quiet woman named Amira, recalled knocking on Eleanor's door at 9:15 p.m. to deliver fresh towels. "No answer," she said, eyes wide. "But I heard voices. One was hers, the other was a man's. Low, like they didn't want to be heard." By mid-afternoon, the investigation had turned into a media frenzy. Headlines screamed, "Heiress vanishes before giving away fortune," and "Locked room mystery in luxury London hotel." Crowds gathered outside the Waverley hoping for a glimpse of anything, a suspect, a clue, an answer. Harlan's gut told him Eleanor hadn't left willingly. But why vanish hours before donating her fortune? And why was Richard Cole still lingering around the hotel, answering reporters' questions like a man enjoying the spotlight? On the second day, a breakthrough, or perhaps a trap? A bellhop named Daniel came forward with a strange story. Around 10 p.m. that night, he'd been called to deliver a bottle of wine to Suite 1104. "When I got there," Daniel said, "the door was slightly open. I knocked, but no one answered. Inside, I saw the wine glasses on the desk, and a pair of red high-heeled shoes by the balcony. But she wasn't there." That detail made Harlan's skin crawl. Eleanor never wore heels. She'd suffered from a hip injury for years. He ordered a search of the entire hotel, from basement storage to rooftop maintenance rooms. Hours passed. Nothing. No signs of struggle. No ransom note. Then, just after midnight, one of the junior officers returned from checking the basement. He was pale, holding something in a clear evidence bag. It was a gold locket. Inside was a tiny photograph of Eleanor, and a folded piece of paper with 2 words scrawled in shaky handwriting. "Don't sign." The words, "don't sign," echoed in Harlan's mind as he stared at the locket under the harsh glow of the evidence room light. The note was fresh, no more than a day old, the ink slightly smudged as if it had been written in haste. If Eleanor had hidden it, she must have known something. The basement where it was found was rarely accessed by guests, used mainly for storage. Security cameras covered every corridor leading down there, except one. That camera had been disconnected days earlier, allegedly for maintenance. Harlan called in the hotel's general manager, a nervous man in a tailored suit who avoided eye contact. "Who ordered that camera offline?" Harlan asked. The manager hesitated before admitting it was done at the request of Richard Cole, who claimed it was for Eleanor's privacy. The connection was too direct to ignore. Harlan brought Cole back in for questioning. This time the lawyer's confidence was thinner. Eleanor was making a mistake, Cole insisted. She didn't understand what giving away that fortune meant. "There are people Dangerous people, who would kill to stop her. Or to make sure she did it, Harlan countered. Cole leaned back, smirking again, but there was fear in his eyes. Detective, you think I'm the villain here. But you should be looking at her charity board. Not all of them wanted that money going public. Some of them wanted it hidden. Some of them would prefer Eleanor disappear quietly. The next morning, Harlan followed the money. Records showed Eleanor had moved large sums in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, all to accounts linked to the Ashford Foundation. The problem was, 3 of those accounts were shell companies in offshore havens. Someone had been siphoning funds long before Eleanor's announcement. Harlan visited the charity's vice chair, a striking woman in her 40s named Vivian Drake. She welcomed him into her modern glass-walled office, all charm and poise. Eleanor was stubborn, Vivian said. She didn't take advice. She thought she could just hand over millions without considering the consequences. What consequences? Harlan pressed. Vivian's eyes flicked toward the window. Money doesn't vanish without someone noticing. And once certain people notice, they don't let go. That afternoon, forensic techs swept Eleanor's suite again. Under the bed, wedged deep into the frame, they found a phone, one not registered in her name. It contained only a few messages, all from an unknown number. You have until midnight. If you sign, you die. The last was sent at 8:50 p.m. on the night she disappeared. Harlan now had 2 possibilities. Eleanor was taken to stop her from signing, or she ran to save herself. But if she'd run, why leave behind everything except the fortune documents? On the 4th day, an anonymous tip came through. A woman matching Eleanor's description had been seen at an abandoned warehouse in the Docklands, escorted by 2 men in dark coats. CCTV from a nearby street showed only a shadowy glimpse, but the height and build matched. The warehouse raid happened just before dawn. The team found evidence of someone staying there: an empty teacup, a silk scarf identical to one Eleanor owned, and a single photograph lying face down on a crate. When Harlan picked it up, his stomach tightened. It was Eleanor, standing beside Vivian Drake. The photo was recent, no more than a week old. And behind them, almost invisible in the reflection of a glass door, was Richard Cole. The pieces clicked into place, too neatly. Vivian and Cole had both warned Harlan about dangerous people. Both had access to her life, her charity, her fortune. But before he could act, news broke. Richard Cole had been found dead in his flat, a single gunshot to the chest. No forced entry. No signs of struggle. And next to him, in a wine glass, a single red high heel. Harlan stared at the crime scene photo. The same heels the bellhop had described. The same heels Eleanor never wore. The message was clear. This was far from over. Back at his office, an envelope was waiting on his desk with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed in bold letters. Detective Harlan, stop digging. She's already gone. And at the bottom, in faint handwriting only visible under the light, a chilling postscript. Don't sign.